Well, so this is a little different from the norm. Sure, my channel banner already says that I upload every Monday and Friday and I can't change it, but the reason for this Friday upload this time around is due to the fact that all normal Monday slots are currently booked up with new movie reviews as the industry is finally starting to allow their films to release. At least if you're lucky enough to not be in the US. So if any kind of relevant trending trailers or the likes pop up anytime in this next month, then do expect an extra Friday upload from yours truly, and let me know if something pops up that you actually want to see. I'm always working hard. Which brings us to today's topic of discussion, the new Bill and Ted trailer. Now, if you're not too familiar with me, then you may not know that I've actually been following this release for a good long while, mentioning it here and there in past videos, and we've got a whole other Bill and Ted video already created from a few weeks ago from when the first trailer came to fruition, so do check that out if you haven't already. It will fill in the gaps this time. But now with this new trailer out, we have all sorts of extra confirmed story beats to break down, and really, there's a lot of interesting details in this trailer that you may have missed. So let's get into things. First things first, here's our first official look at the aged up princesses, recast from the original actors but still good to see. The four of them are at couples therapy as the wives suggest, but the double date nature of it seems to be part of the core problem, with Bill and Ted being so inseparable that the wives have finally had enough of it all, it seems. And we've seen that be the case for pretty much their entire relationship, so I could certainly see how it's getting a little old 30 years on. Next shot we get is of the therapist face palming, but it's to a different comment that Bill says, judging by his eager head looking around. Moving on, we come back to the wedding scene we've seen beforehand, now revealing to us that Ted's dad, Captain Logan, is also on the scene, and he's confronting the boys about their illusions of their adventures and shooting down the idea of them still chasing this dream, suggesting that they instead become role models to their daughters. Simple enough of a scene to digest, but it's hard to tell whether this comes in as the boys are setting up their instruments before the performance or afterwards, with the crowd clearly not being as enticed by their theatrics. Here's another shot of Logan, as well as little Billy in a strange domino outfit, witnessing the events at that same scene, clearly unimpressed. I wonder if we'll see those same instruments in more competent hands later on. Also, yeah, I have no clue on this outfit. Does Billy enjoy magic tricks on the side or something, or is she just quirky? Here's your shot of the boys time traveling, using the old classical Rufus phone booth, and they do seem to be a little more concerned this time. Last time we suggested this may be because the phone booth is being used for the first time in 30 years, and you can see more clearly this time there are some sparks going on. Or they've just heard of some very bad news, or just don't think the thing's gonna function. Similarly, here's a shot of Bill and Ted revisiting hell. Now, sure, the visuals are cool, but it's the nearby set that's the real goldmine, clearly linking straight to a scene we see later on, and even has an electric guitar right in shot here. We'll come back to this later. So here are Bill and Ted's daughters in their father's garage, judging by all the kooky instruments. And it seems they're similarly rocky and dopey, and very happy to see them. Though we did hear from the synopsis last time that there was a disconnect between the two pairs, which could brew from any kind of misunderstanding. Maybe it's the decision to finally quit the music dream. Who knows? Here's the suburbs. Not much to see here, but maybe we'll see it distorted later in the film. Moving on, we're in that same garage. The daughters are gone, perhaps even post-disagreement or something, and Ted is telling of his dream fatigue. And right on cue comes Kelly, our confirmed new character and replacement of Rufus. And heartwarmingly enough, the actual name Kelly is inspired by George Carlin's real-life daughter as a nice little tribute. Now, as we predicted last time, she is the one to collect the boys in a newfangled egg-type time machine, though what we didn't know was that the daughters witnessed the whole exchange and decide to take matters into their own hands. Following this, we get most of the same scenes from the last trailer, though maybe this map marker insinuates the iconic moment in history where the world-saving music is played? It's another guess to the list I had last time. Also, was that hologram always there? Is it like a stadium ring or something? So the great leader, as she's known, tells of that iconic moment. She clearly states here that it was performed by Preston and Logan, the simple surnames of the boys, which people all seem to agree leads to a pretty predictable plot twist that it's actually the daughters who perform to save the world. Some people find this disappointing or stupid. I don't really mind it, but you know, there's always a chance that you're being misled, and maybe it'll turn out to be a mega performance from different Bill and Teds across all of time. That's also a valid possibility. We'll see. I'll cough up more evidence of that as we see it. Oh, and hey, I keep saying and hey apparently. If you're liking my stuff so far, do consider subscribing. I'll cover new trailers every single Friday if more start to come out. And remember, only you can help out against my unsubbed ratio count. It's a little skewed. So this performance will save reality, and we can see how disrupt things have gotten as this shot shows the circuit of time literally piercing the skies, an actual visual for a time rift. Awesome! Next up we get the same scene we saw last time atop this possible tour bus, but actually, this shot is a little bit different, with the second trailer now revealing a blimp and the Eiffel Tower in the background. This broken reality apparently has the distortion of time and location, apparently. And we saw last time that figures from across time were also warping onto this same highway. This shot here is also composited to highlight potentially something appearing high up in the background, so I wonder what could pop up. Oh, here's a small thing. In that room we saw Bill and Ted discussing options last time, apparently Kelly's there with them. Here's a new time counter device to push the story's tension along, 6:19:00 PM. Wait, is this a fancy pocket watch or is it supposed to be a countdown timer? One source we read last time mentioned that the boys have 1 hour and 18 minutes, which is a little on the nose for the runtime, but I guess that kinda lines up with this as an idea too. I guess the future just likes its gimmicky aesthetics as well. Speaking of the future, we speculated that Bill and Ted had to sneak around to find that original phone booth, and that seems to be a correct guess, as here they are sneaking unsupervised. I guess they've got a Rufus-y connection, or they really need to somehow make two time machines to make two plots. And hey, we mentioned all the different versions of Bill and Ted that could potentially make an appearance in this film, and here's another rendition to add to the list. Successful, wealthy, hippie Bill and Ted. Although I'm a little lost on those clothing choices. Ted has like 4 different looks going on. Still, things seem to be going well. They've got wine, they've got a fancy house, and maybe the answer to their song problem. Or it's too psychedelic for their taste. But hey, if the theory of all Prestons and Logans come together is accurate, then we've now got classic rock, whatever modern sound we've got going on here, deathcore prison stuff, and some 70s vibes too, among some others too. Flipping over to the daughters, we next see them using that new egg transporter. How'd they get it? Who knows? Maybe their dads activated it to their time but abandoned it in search of the phone booth? Regardless, the daughters' plan is to recreate the magic of the 1989 original by traveling back in time to put together the most extraordinary band of historical icons. And they start off not too far backwards with Kid Cudi, who we've seen much of before, and apparently gets taken back to their suburbs. And in case you aren't familiar with his type of music, here it is plastered onto the front of his jacket. Don't mind the extras all just looking straight at the camera. While this is happening, we hear the dialogue of the daughters' band plan, which may very well be what the girls are saying directly to the musicians as they meet them. Also, that first shot with the girls falling out of the egg pod, it's not actually too clear where that is. It's similar to the prison, but it could just be any other alleyway. Maybe this shot of the daughters rocking out isn't actually at the finale sequence as we first thought. It could simply be the Kid Cudi concert. Or this is just a sneaky match cut. Here's some officially new territory, our new pianist musician. Last time we had Beethoven, and this time we have... Bach? No, it's Mozart! I can't believe I went through this entire video calling him Bach! Mozart! Regardless, it's the new Beethoven. Is it rehashing the good times by keeping it very samey? But it's a music movie, so like, what are the other options, you know? Next, the daughters are seen entering some kind of rundown shed. Who's this for? It could be George Washington during his revolution, it could be Bartholomew explaining their expressions as meeting a biblical figure, or just anyone fairly modern in a shed. The guy in the background is really throwing me off. After that, we come to ancient China, with a character we've only seen in the background before. She plays some kind of bamboo flute, maybe a dizi or something. Also, another thing I'm just gonna add on here, this ancient Chinese lady is actually called Ling Lun, according to certain sources, but it's kinda hard to research them. They're the creator of the bamboo flute, but apparently they're a guy. Or at least all the historical sources says they were, but maybe that's some ancient sexism, who knows. And the guy who we'll call Mozart from now on is confused yet delighted by it. Meanwhile, Bill and Ted, in hell, decide to talk to Death. They're in that cubbyhole we saw earlier, likely telling their daughters their next move. And here Death is, casted the same as all those years ago. And of course, the daughters come along too. You can even see Kid Cudi and Bach in the background. Death's been playing games by himself, maybe he's lonely. And he seems a little standoffish here, doesn't he? Maybe he's actually against them at first, or he just doesn't believe they're real. But clearly that doesn't last long, judging by every other shot that we have of him clearly being their best bud. And here he is in a truck with with Captain Logan to the side. Bit of a time skip to say the least, but presumably Logan's now come to realize reality, as we did see last time that he is actually one of the chosen excellent band members after all. That's the real plot twist. Though, where are they right now? The neon light suggests this might be right before the big performance, or round the back concurrently. I mean, they're certainly in the correct gear for the final showing. But forget that, who's that creepy face in the background? Ugh! Is it a ghost costume? Is it someone they picked up? Or is it a criminal in the back of this police truck? Actually, a comment by Mr. Critical from our last analysis suggests that this might actually be Death's bus, and we saw it before, during that highway scene. And Stormy Waters reminded us that Death does play the upright bass that could link to his instrument seen on top. Death did try to go solo after a second film after all, so he might have a tour bus. Whatever the reality, he's in the driver's seat, and racing to that big performance is just classically exhilarating. Oh man, do you know what this shot is? This is every time-traveling event happening all at once. Every single usage of the Rufus phone booth. This is a pretty spectacular shot, but do you think we'll ever actually see this in the film? Just imagine each Bill and Ted from each phone booth all coming together for that big conglomerate finale. I mean, that one Walmart commercial does show the possibility of a young Bill and Ted being reintroduced, and I may be reading into it too much, but it also kind of looks like none of them are actually going away from the camera. Maybe they'll all curve to one singularity. Also, yeah, there's no egg to be seen in there. Huh. Still, I'm certainly gunning for that time collaboration idea. What better way to band together all types of people than by banding together all types of people to represent every genre and reality across time? Even if none of it comes, this alone is an excellent shot. Here's the daughters celebrating with headphones on. The lights could be from the Kid Cudi concert, but the headphones weren't in that one other shot. Bill and Ted next pose at an elderly home, it looks like, possibly saying hi to one of their dads. Though if that doesn't work out, maybe it's Missy. She is confirmed to make an appearance after all, and obviously she would be aged up after 30 years. Plus, I doubt this opening will be met too warmly. Ooh, here's the boys time traveling upwards with their princess wives. What do you think that leads to? Finalizing their arc by taking them somewhere to rekindle their relationships? Witnessing the future of their success? I'm not sure, but it certainly seems to be leaning to something wholesome that wraps everything nicely together. Here's Bill and Ted just high-fiving in hell. You think they're happy that they just made it into hell? Did they jump off the same cliff? It seems kind of like the same kind of circumstance. Do you think they found out their daughters died and then jumped into hell to try to find them? That could be construed as a really dark reality if the movie wasn't so lighthearted. Jeez. And once they reach that pothole, they do find their daughters digging away, and hey, Kid Cudi, the ancient Chinese lady, and Mozart made it too. Oh, and hey, I wouldn't have caught this otherwise, but see that figure behind Bill? That's Jimi Hendrix. Yeah, there's no mention of him on IMDb because the cast list is always hush-hush this early on, but I did have some people mentioning that he was seen on set, and being an American guitarist of the 60s, he fits the bill to join the band quite well. And actually, there's a whole lot more to this rabbit hole with Jimi Hendrix that I'll mention in a little bit, because I've missed out some things. I also had some people sharing the news that Keanu once said as reality rips apart, we may see someone like Jesus playing baseball. This doesn't appear in the trailers, but it does explain 2 more cast slots with Bartholomew the Apostle and that umpire being integrated with baseball. And hey, God exists in this reality, so Jesus can too. Though I guess he's not musically talented enough to make the cut and highlights Barthy instead. Still, our final new shot shows the daughters reaching an intimidating door, and the wider shot reveals that they are with a group, though it's hard to tell if that's just their band crew or if the dads are integrated in there too, though I doubt it. I have a feeling it's more like this is where they go to when they first die and then they get put on digging duty. I mean, maybe with God and death established, this is their next step to the devil himself. And hey, we haven't seen our antagonist Anthony Carrigan just yet, so maybe he takes that slot there. Revealing his role as the literal devil certainly would spout some spoilers. And with the dads asking how the girls are really doing, the trailer reaches its end, but not before we get an over-edited movie poster featuring uncanny levels of face tweaking, a cool animated design, crediting design to frustrate and force your eyes to wander around, and our first actual look at Anthony Carrigan. Okay, so he's not the devil, but he is an egghead, much like Denomalos. just now featuring extra gizmos on his torso. Presumably, judging by this, he's another baddie from the future, which is a little underwhelming, but I guess we'll see how that turns out. This poster also reveals to us a couple entirely new faces crammed into that photo booth, but recognizing them is a bit of a pain. Actually, it's not really a pain. It's hard to tell from just this video, which I was doing when I first wrote this script, but the high quality poster shows us one of those unrecognizable faces is indeed Mozart. Wow, it's not Bach. And the other one is of a black woman, it seems, though no one cast quite fits the bill yet. The closest we've got really is Sacagawea, so who knows. Oh yeah, Sacagawea. So there's a whole market of characters that we haven't seen at all in the trailers or the IMDb cast list, but it has been seen on set. So people told me about the whole Jimi Hendrix thing, but other sources have told us that other historical characters to appear include Sacagawea, Gandhi, and Louis Armstrong as well, and several of those match that old shed scene we saw, so maybe that makes a whole lot more sense. Other things I've since noticed in the edit is that there is a wild stallion van, as seen from the second film, that could very well connect to the tour bus, but the one on the actual highway is a whole lot longer. Also, Jimi Hendrix is played by a guy called Dazzman. What a name, I love it. Also, in the background of one shot, we can actually see the cyborg-looking egghead just waiting in the door in hell. So maybe he's not just the evil, generic bad guy Anthony Carrigan, he could just be a future musician and not just another baddie. I mean, I did just assume it was Anthony because we had a bald guy that needed to fit the bill, so who knows. And that might also explain the ghost face we saw in the background. Yeah, kinda. Glad I got that off my chest, because man, I was getting annoyed seeing all those gaps. Regardless, this is every piece of information that can be extruded from this second trailer of Bill and Ted 3. I really love the concept of the daughters going back to 1989 to meet the younger versions of Bill and Ted and seeing some archival footage of George Carlin as was once discussed. But if I was to say one bad thing about this film so far, the trailers naturally point out a lot of story beats to recognize. Sure, it's great for a guy like me who enjoys analyzing these kind of things, but I have seen other people upset by just how much they can practically piece together from this film just from this one trailer, let alone the other one as well. But hey, at least those guys probably missed out on the phone booth super shot and Captain Logan being a band member and maybe the prevalence of the devil. As for us, I guess it's a shame we're as into trailers as we are. But who knows, maybe the film will still sweep us from underneath our feet, and there's more surprises to be had. I'm still excited for this film anyway, and I'll be reviewing the first Monday after it comes out. Got it all scheduled this month and everything. For now though, my name's been Daz, you didn't really care, and I'll see you in a bit. I seriously hope that Walmart commercial teasing pays off. Even if everything else goes absolutely right, if there's no appearance of a young Bill and Ted in any form, I'm probably gonna be severely disappointed. I just hope I haven't overhyped myself. This could be so good. So good.